Marketing Monday. This is an entirely new segment built for the Clips channel called Atrioc versus YouTube, presented by our friends at Rocket Money. I went to our friends at the sponsor Rocket Money and I pitched a new idea. The idea is this. We have a pretty successful Clips channel called Big A Clips. And over the past 8 months, under the hard work of Adish, it has grown pretty dramatically. And most of that channel involves me answering questions from you below me in the chat. You guys say things and then I do this. I press this button and then you guys show up on the screen. Poggy's me, and there's a whoosh sound and it goes up. However, there are hundreds of thousands, literally more people on the Clips channel who never get a chance to ask a question. They never get their voices heard. So we will do Atrioc versus YouTube, and I will read some of the YouTube comments from the past week or month on the Clips channel and see if we can't respond to them live. It's called versus YouTube because that's a better title. However, this is not supposed to be antagonistic. I'm not trying to attack my YouTube comments. In fact, I want to hear from them. A lot of them are pretty interesting and insightful. Like this one from our yesterday's video about the horrors of Amazon employment. Celestial Waffle said, this video has 2 Amazon employees talking to each other. One has a truly difficult career and the other drives a nice truck. Very true and very powerful and very wise. Because really, only one of us has to deal with all the dangers and the hard part of being an Amazon employee, and the other one gets to just chill and watch content and the yard videos. It's crazy. Who Dat has it so easy. By the way, more relevant note, some people asked about this comment. I didn't pull one up, but people asked if the proceeds of this video are gonna go to Who Dat? And the answer, of course, is yeah, of course. This was from the Australia banned social media. I wanted to show this comment from Lucid34, who is actually boots on the ground, a young Australian, understanding this problem live. As a 19-year-old Aussie kid, I frankly don't care about it much because it doesn't affect me. So unfortunately, this kid's 3 years too old to care. It's a 16-year-old man. So their opening sentence says they don't give a shit. But they have the same problem anti-cheat in video games has. Either you ensure you're not intrusive in any way, but then people ignore your rules pretty easily, like CSGO anti-cheat, or you use intrusive measures to make sure it actually works, but that leads to its own problems, like Valorant anti-cheat. I thought it was a pretty good metaphor for like the Norwegian versus the Chinese method of banning social media. I thought it was pretty clever. Yeah, there's truth to it. So much of this ban hinges on how they enforce it. I think there's a general broad agreement that social media has problematic outcomes. People don't want to handle it. And if they try to do like a permanent digital ID that is like tied to your name and online profile forever, that could lead to, serious censorship and government control problems. But if it doesn't do anything like that, it's probably going to be easily dodged. So it's a real tough problem. And these kind of problems are popping up all over the world. And luckily we have the smartest and best people in government everywhere to tackle these problems head on. Thankfully, we have built up great government systems staffed with the smartest and most forward-thinking people, so that when we encounter all of these problems of modern life, they're able to jump on them and think about them deeply and lucidly to make our lives better in all the countries we live in. That's great. We have a ban on using phones in school, but in my experience, people got around it very easily because teachers aren't paid enough to deal with arguing about phone usage to annoying high school kids. Ain't that a fact? The same thing is coming true right now with AI, where teachers are not paid enough to constantly have to catch and argue and find people that cheat with AI. They tried it and they burnt out real quick, and now teachers are already giving up. They're already giving up on the ability to fight it because so many people are doing it, and trying to fight it takes more work than doing it, and trying to get it actually enforced takes even more work than that. And if the parents fight back, then you're extra. It's such a nightmare. This one was, I wanted to include a funny one, but I told myself to put a serious one in before, but then I forgot to add the serious one. So I didn't get a serious one from this video, the problem with college. I only got a stupid one where this guy said Big A should name his child Mogging. Allow me to explain. When abbreviated, their name will be M Ewing. And hence, not only will it be their destiny to have a jawline as if chiseled by the gods themselves, but also to effortlessly mog anyone they ever step into a room with. It's such a great opportunity Atrioc is literally throwing if he doesn't do this. My child's name will be Mogging Ewing, and it shortens to Mewing. Do you ever worry when you give me the suggestion that the word mogging and mewing will not be relevant slang by the time my child is a 25-year-old, 30-year-old, 35-year-old adult? Do you think that'll only be relevant briefly now, and then it'll be kind of weird in 2062 when my child's name is Mogging? Well, a lot of thoughts on that one. A lot of thoughts on. Thank you, YouTube, for that question. And then there was this one about Canada as having a crisis. Ankle Breaker 9 had a comment. As a young Canadian, nothing pisses me off more than when I hear our politicians saying we need more people to fill jobs, when I'm out here struggling to find an entry-level role for my career, and there's 8.6% unemployment in my city. I got a lot of comments like this. That's why I included this one. There were a lot of comments from Canadians, not even commenting so much in the video, but just expressing their general anger with their country right now. It is thriving. The anger, not the country. They want to scream it out to the void almost, that they are being let down. I don't know ones that have found a job and are like, well, I still can't get a house and there's no plan at all to do it in the future. And obviously we have that everywhere, but you can definitely feel it deeply and strongly out of Canada. I also noticed a way for people who are wanting to save money to do it. And that's the sponsor of this segment, Rocket Money. Thank you, Rocket Money, for sponsoring Atrioc versus YouTube. You can sign up for Rocket Money, an app that I have used since it was called Truebill, and it'll show you every single thing you're subscribed to. It actually looks just like this. It's very easy. You just connect your bank account and you can see how much you're spending per year on subscriptions and recurring costs. And then you can very easily cancel them from the app. It's actually surprisingly useful and surprisingly easy. Again, I've used this a long time, well before they sponsored me, so it's easy for me to recommend, and I've recommended to people in real life. If you are somebody who wants to track your spending, not only your subscriptions, but also your actual spending, and get ideas of where your money's actually going and save up for things and plan and budget, it's actually a great app for all of those features. Check it out, and thanks again, Rocket Money, for sponsoring Atrioc versus YouTube. Now, in part 2 of this, we're gonna look at actual YouTube comments live, not prepared ones. How about the book talk one? How is this saving books? Let's see. Finally, a big A video where I have insider knowledge on the topic. My wife is one, just sorry, I had to add a joke there. Let's go. If you're wondering how this job works, all right, I sort of bring the elite comedy. My wife is one of those micro-influencers he keeps mentioning. She has her own page where she gets ads from authors, and then she also runs the TikTok pages of about 8 to 10 authors. Atrioc didn't even get into Kindle Unlimited and the way that Amazon has a whole grip on the self. Is there more to this? We'll never know. This is a great comment, but we'll never know. Brian, you have to finish your comments. A grip on the self? ... Anyway, I will say this. My understanding, I think he's sort of leaning towards this. My understanding of the book industry is that if you sell a audiobook or a digital book through Amazon or through Audible, which is their two platforms, Amazon owns Audible, they take like 85%. Wait, why is everyone saying Zoom? Oh. Self-published authors. Yoink. Let's say one of my chatters, brilliant chatters, writes a book. This is your book. And if you sell a print copy, like a physical copy through Amazon, they get, I don't remember the exact number. I thought it was 45%, but I could be wrong. It's still a really high number, but they know you can sell it elsewhere. There's other places that sell physical books, so they don't take too much of a cut. But if you want to sell a digital copy or an audiobook copy, they take 85% for an audiobook and again, 75% for digital, because they know there's nowhere else people buy this stuff. If I'm somebody who listens to audiobooks, I almost certainly will only buy it if it's on Audible, which means they know if you turn this down and sell it somewhere, no one will buy it. It's literally monopoly power, but not used against consumers, used against the producers. That's Amazon's trick, is they found a way to be a monopoly, but they never leverage it on raising prices for the end consumer. They use it to squeeze everyone else that makes things in the middle so they get all the profits. That's like the power of their monopoly, and that's why they've avoided antitrust scrutiny for so long. But it's really crazy. If you're buying an audiobook, almost none of it's going to the author because of how much power Amazon has in that space. But good question, good comments. I'll heart it. Any of these else stand out to you? The world is angry. This is about BRICS and currencies. There's a great answer from Chance Robertson, who said, honestly, I might have to step in and fix this China issue. And I responded and said, thanks, Chance. Just want to place a slight correction on Big A's comment on Japan's incumbent party losing its most recent election. While some part of it was due to the rising cost of living, it's more largely attributable to a negative reaction toward the slush fund scandal, which the LDP was responsible for and never took proper accountability with its own party. I understand that may have played a part, but I disagree. I think the pattern playing out across all the different parties, across all the different countries, across the world, shows that I think all this individual stuff that people think is so important in their country, doesn't matter as much as the rising global anger over bigger economic problems. I'm not saying this isn't a big deal. Maybe it did matter. Maybe it did sway a lot of votes. I'm not going to comment. I just want to say that my theory is that everyone's got a reason that makes sense for their country and sounds smart and sounds like it makes sense, but it doesn't explain the pattern. And what it does explain the pattern is the post-COVID rise in inflation, the end of this massive debt cycle, the rising inequality. I think all of that is like a deeper and more direct reason for upheaval. This is a good correction. So I talked in the video about how when the war in Ukraine started, all of Russia's foreign dollar and euro reserves were seized by America and its European allies. And this guy wanted me an actually, but it's a good actually. They were frozen, not seized. So technically, Russia can't have them, but they haven't been taken and used elsewhere yet. However, all the interest that is made on them, you know, it's hundreds of billions of dollars, all the interest it earns has been taken and given to Ukraine. So from Russia's POV, there's no difference. And from other countries' POV who are perhaps worried about it happening to them, that's why they're trying to get off the dollar, no difference. I will say, Trump tweeted about this today. Let me go to my True Social account, which I always use. The idea that the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy. They can go find another, quote, sucker. There is no chance that the BRICS will replace the US dollar in international trade, and any country that tries it should wave goodbye to America. As I mentioned in this video, there is no chance either before this tweet or after they were going to try to make a BRICS currency. They were thinking about doing something where they can settle, they can basically trade for trade, and then whatever's left over is settled in gold, which probably won't be affected by this, but there is no currency that can replace it. I will say that, like, if the reason some countries are trying to get out from under the thumb of the dollar is because America can use its power of the dollar to threaten them, then threatening them more with economic power, you know, maybe in the short term, but it increases the reason why they're trying to do it. But anyway, regardless, I'm not in favor of a BRICS currency either. What I want to talk about with this quote, though, is that he says they should say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy. And this is what I was talking about in the Marketing Monday recently, where I just got to say goodbye to all the people who were on my side when I said the economy isn't working, but Joe Biden was president. Because once Trump is president, those people will never, they'll no longer agree with me. Anyway, let's jump to the next comment. Is there another video you guys want to talk about? All right, the monopoly is over. Let's see. Oh, it's cool to hear Atrioc talk about the overall downtick in wine sales. I work at a department-sized wine and spirit store chain. We actually had our annual pre-holiday season meeting where they talked about the same thing. Basically, I said that, yeah, wine sales are down. In their words, it was less a flat downtick in wine and more of a shift to heavier drinks like spirits. This is such a funny way of saying the same thing. They still seem pissed about it, though, because there's a smaller margin on spirits. Overall, all alcohol sales seem to be stagnating or slipping in general. A part of this is that Gen Z don't drink, dude. Gen Z vapes. Gen Z starting to smoke. Gen Z smokes weed, but Gen Z don't drink. Compared to previous generations, they don't drink, and millennials also drink way less. So the alcohol industry is worried, although I'm sure, like cigarettes, they'll figure it out. I'm sure Gen Beta will be drunks. I'm pretty sure Gen Beta will drink like fishes, dude. The way it works is once it gets down low enough, then a generation comes along and they flip it back because they want it to be cool again. But for now, it feels like alcohol sales are down. They've started mandating so-called bottle goals, where literally every employee at a store, regardless of department, has to set themselves a goal of bottles to sell/advertise to customers every shift. It's getting a bit absurd. That's insane. Telling everyone in your store they have to set a goal of a number of bottles to sell is like, it's such a desperate play by management. Oh, and there was an interesting comment. I've seen this comment before. I saw this. This comment references a part I'm less familiar with, which is Kadokawa's dominance in the anime side. I've talked about it, but I'm not a lived weeb. I don't know the lived experience of how much power Kadokawa has. A true weeb will know when they're going to find certain manga or anything that they have to go through a Kadokawa platform. They have dominance for so many anime, manga, light novel franchises. Many are favorites too. It's the one behind web novel sites where a lot of this series starts, plays a huge part in content creators going or staying in Japan, owns FromSoft, Spike Chunsoft, and other studios, including ones involved in Nintendo projects like Mario and Luigi RPG. I sincerely hope somehow this acquisition does not and won't ever go through. So here's the deal. Generally, I'm not pro-acquisition, obviously. However, it seems like Kadokawa is already under takeover threat from non-Japanese interests. And so they actually went to Sony themselves and asked to be acquired to help defend from the acquisition. So it's a little bit different. Ideally, neither one maybe acquires them and they stay independent, but or even are broken up. But in the real world, I'm a little more supportive of it for that reason. It was their choice. I mean, they sought this out. They thought it would be a better partner. How about Europeans are poor, so why are they happy? The American mind can't comprehend a person having a life outside of work and money. Yeah, be jealous. And you forgot guns, by the way. I'm a student, I work on the side, and I earn about 1,100 euro per month after taxes, which is hella poor for America. Dude, this is like a separate topic for a video. I am becoming more open to the idea that the entire European Union might dissolve. Listen, I agree that America has many problems that Europe has figured out with quality of life. They have economic problems that are worse, though, that needs to be discussed. I think if the AfD win enough power in Germany, they might Brexit out of Europe. And if Germany's out of Europe, it's over, dude. If Germany is not part of the EU will fall apart, dude. I'll research it more. I'll talk about it separately, but I want to bring that up, that I think the idea of nothing ever happens is going to meet reality in Europe real quick. But let's read this. This is interesting. This is like a real on the ground student in Europe. They spend $400 on rent. Incredible. $250 for food, $40 for phone plan, $10 for Wi-Fi, $40 for gym, $40 for subscriptions, $40 for train ticket. I have $280 left at my disposal. I'm happy with what I got. I can survive with that and have fun in the meantime. And best of all, I'll have a degree and no debt when I'm done. There are serious benefits and societal cohesion to the way certain things are run in Europe that America could learn from. 100%. But I'm not going to say copium or whatever, but the lack of technological competitiveness and growth is hurting Europe. Like, Europeans are feeling it. They are feeling the pressures. I mean, you know, German car factories are being closed as they lose competition to China. Shit is happening. I just want, you know, things aren't static. This is a real problem that Europe needs to figure out. But I still think, I think there's some truth to this. And I like his attitude towards life in general. You don't need a lot of money, a car, or a condo in a suburban hellscape to be happy. I like that too. Quite contrary, I believe, if you have less expensive shit, you need to worry about less expensive shit costing you money. If your state spends money to have good infrastructure in cities, you already don't need a car and money for gas to still go places and have fun with so much less money. And if on top of that, they have social safety nets and programs for less fortunate, you don't ever have to worry about being down on your knees. You will be picked up instead of beaten down further. Tons of truth to that. However, I would caution you from, I guess you should still demand more from your government. Okay. I think they are making some mistakes that are harming you, the average citizen, now and in the future, and you should demand more from your government from just, you know, I'll be happy with less. But anyway, I like your question. I like your comments. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for leaving your comments on the Clips channel. We will be responding to them in a monthly series for Rocket Money called Atrioc versus YouTube. If you have some more, leave them. Leave them under this video, this very video. We'll get them all. Appreciate you watching.